Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final installment to our preseason power rankings series. This is our number one team, the back-to-back Super Bowl champion, the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a team right here that they have their flaws, but what they're good at, they are the best at. Okay?
Yes.
And because of a certain player wearing number 15, it really doesn't matter if they're bad at anything particular. They're going to find a way to win football games. All right? And because of that downright inevitability, we kind of don't really have a choice but to rank this team as number one in the NFL. And, for good reason, right? This team is spectacular. They won back-to-back Super Bowls. Mahomes might be the best player to ever touch.
To ever grace a football field.
Yeah, exactly. Right? They're inevitable, man. They are inevitable. It doesn't matter if it's going well. It doesn't matter if it's going poorly. They're going to bounce back if it's going poorly. And if it's going well, it's going to keep going well. They don't slow down at any point. Dean, what do you have to say about the final team in our power rankings?
There's never been a team to three-peat in NFL history. I think this team has a real good shot at three-peating this year. This team, again, when you feature the best player to ever grace a football field, potentially, your team is good. And it's not just him. There's a lot of other really great things on this team, from the coaching to the roster. It's a whole accumulation of fantastic players and coaching that makes this Kansas City Chiefs team what it is, and potentially a dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Very likely going to be a dynasty. We get into this head coach culture, whatever we call this segment. A segment we've done, this is going to be the 32nd time we've done it. It's a great way to open it because it really gives you a perspective on the team and what they look like, right? Why they are the way they are. The head coach is Andy Reid. It's been Andy Reid, and Andy Reid is the best head coach in the NFL. All right? It's just that simple. He is spectacular, right? And a big reason why is what he does from a culture standpoint. They're cocky. They're a cocky football team. And I'm not going to lie, I hate it. But that doesn't make it a bad thing. It pisses me off. The Chiefs, I'm going to be honest, genuinely piss me off as a football team. They do. I watch them play. I watch their quarterback do behind-the-back passes in preseason, and it's just
There's
it
that
pisses
play
me
against
off.
the Raiders last year where they just all spun around in a circle for some reason before completing a touchdown pass.
Yeah, and it is just
man.
It's cocky. It's arrogant football being played, but they back it up, man. They back it up.
They do.
Right? And for me, it's I grew up during the Patriots dynasty. I'm an 18-year-old. I grew up during the Patriots dynasty. And people always said, oh, they hate Belichick, they hate Tom Brady, they hate Gronk, they hate Julian Edelman. But at least, when they won, they earned it doing the normal football stuff, right? You didn't see Tom Brady try and do, no-look passes. No, Tom Brady beat you because Tom Brady was better with the X's and O's, and he knew what you were throwing at him. Mahomes is he's just a freak. Andy Reid, he's just throwing shit at the wall, and some of that stuff just works, right? He's breaking the rules constantly, but you got to know the rules to break the rules. You could tell Andy Reid does. You could tell his risks are calculated, and you could tell whenever they win a game, whenever they win a Super Bowl, whenever they win a ring, they earned it. They did. They are a cocky, arrogant team that pisses me off, but I got to admit, they earned the right to act that way. They absolutely did. And it's not like they're arrogant and that leads to the on-field product really suffering. Now, it might at certain points in the season, right? It's become kind of a trend where the Chiefs get to week 10, maybe it's week 11 through 15.
And they just slow down a little bit.
And they slow down and they start to underestimate opponents and they start doing crazy little silly stuff and it kind of starts to bite them. Right? And they kind of get their head away from football for a little bit. But they always bounce back. They always create enough of a cushion to still make the playoffs. And once the playoffs start, oh boy, they're going to be on point, right? And
take it. I just want to say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs, there are some people who are like, hey, roster-wise, this isn't the best in football. How is it won? Take it like this. The year to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs was last year. That was the year to beat them. And nobody could. and they got better. They got better.
And part of that is the culture. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason that we cover this, and it's because this might be the most important part of any football. It probably is the most important part of any football team. And the Chiefs nail it here. They might not be the most stereotypical. They might not be the most traditional, but they have the best head coach. They have the best culture.
And it's not just from the culture. Andy Reid is not only one of the best play callers in football, he's one of the best play callers we've ever seen. Like, he just is. From an X's and O's state, it's not just, we just covered the Lions in the last video. Dan Campbell's a culture guy. He's not an X's and O guy, and that's okay. Andy Reid is culture and X's and O's guy. You get the best of both worlds here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know it's weird calling this a culture team because of, how many guys there are that have, like, a big personality and they all feel drama around this team. But that stuff doesn't affect the on-field product, which, again, I give Andy Reid a lot of credit. Because, I feel like a lot of teams, they have the Taylor Swift thing happen. Like, one of our players is dating Taylor Swift. Their season from that point is now defined as the Taylor Swift season. And that's all it is. But no, right? The Chiefs somehow found a way to have the Taylor Swift stuff happen, and it didn't affect the on-field product at all. They still won the Super Bowl, right? And it's that. It is, Rashee Rice getting in trouble, and all these different players are getting in trouble, but they're still going to be one of the best teams in the NFL, right?
Yep.
Even if those players don't get suspended, that's going to have that normally would have an impact on the NFL team. Not this team, though. Andy Reid lets what happens outside of the locker room stay outside of the locker room. And it's really, really interesting. They had the target on their back last year, and they hoisted the Lombardi again. This year, they have their sights on the three-peat. That's the best head coach and culture in the NFL right there.
I absolutely agree with you. And let's move into this offense and tell me about Andy Reid and what he does.
Yeah, it's a spread offense, right? The motion usage is awesome, right? He uses it in a lot of different ways to reveal coverages, to get guys in different spots, kind of get them open, kind of generate better matchups for their players. They use motion for a lot of different reasons. Some of it is kind of just like a decoy motion, kind of just screw up the defense as a result of that motion. The route concepts are really creative, right? We still remember Jet Chip Wasp, or whatever it was called, against the 49ers. And, they're doing crazy stuff like that all the time, right? The really unique thing is because of the speed of these receivers, along with the fact that the quarterback can sling it, they can afford to have their routes break way deeper down the field. And because the offensive line is so good, it's kind of like the routes don't develop until like 20 yards down the field. And it's really, really interesting.
And I was going to say, they're able to do that not only because of the line, because of the speed, because of Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That's why,
Yeah.
that is because Patrick Mahomes can do that.
Mm-hmm.
He can make every throw you can possibly think of.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Yeah.
Every throw that's possible, he can do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's so interesting seeing the route concepts that they use to take advantage of this talent that they have, right?
Yes.
Now,
and I would like to add that, this is a spread offense, but Reid also isn't afraid to, depending on the matchup, if they're going to the playoffs, if it's cold, get under center, run the ball.
As a Dolphins fan, that's what they did.
It's what they did, exactly.
Yeah. And, I like that you mentioned the run game because they're not a run-heavy team, but when they do run the ball, they can incorporate some interesting misdirection using motion and using two backs and a lot of different looks that make it really interesting. That shovel pass of theirs is...
Yes.
It shouldn't work. That play should not work that they do in short yardage situations.
It works every time.
But it works every time. Exactly. Last year they had a very low average depth of target. But because of who the receivers are this year, I think that'll change, right? I think they're going to go back.
See some bombs away. Patrick Mahomes again.
I think they're going to go back to the kind of late developing routes because they still have the ability to do it. But yeah,
the Chiefs won a Super Bowl with Justin Watson being the most reliable target for Patrick Mahomes, man.
Yeah,
and Rashee Rice, of course, but this is a completely different receiver room now when healthy.
Yeah. How about when Juju, who is now a free agent, was their most reliable receiver? They won a Super Bowl then, right?
Yep.
And that was just 2 years ago. Come on, man. this is an awesome, awesome team in terms of what they could do, and a lot of it is the scheme. And then the other big part of it that has remained consistent throughout all their Super Bowl wins, except the first one in career history, which was, Len Dawson, right? Patrick Mahomes has been there for all three of their most recent wins in the Super Bowl. And it makes sense why. This guy is a stud. He is a stud. I mean, there's so much we could say about Mahomes.
There's so much we can say, but we won't get too far into it because everybody knows. Everybody knows.
I do want to say this, right? Everyone knows him as like this backyard ball playmaker. But the thing that he's really taken a step forward in, right? Since like the 2018 Mahomes, I think that 2022, right? His season where he won the Super Bowl against Philly, the first season without Tyreek, I think that was not only his best season, I think that's up there with like 07 Brady, 84 Dan Marino.
It's one of the best MVP seasons we've ever seen.
Yes. And it's not just because of the regular season, because even in the playoffs, he was lighting up scoreboards, and it was no longer just reliance on that backyard ball play style. He finally understood. Third and long, there are situations where I need to be a backyard ball playmaker, but I'm going to, manage the game more. I'm going to manage the game unless there's a situation where I don't need to. And then he's going to go out there and make the ridiculous plays. And I think that is when Mahomes really became like this all-time great quarterback, like indisputably the best quarterback in football. That was the season for me that it was like, you can no longer debate anyone ahead of Mahomes. Because that's when it was really, he does everything now. I mean, he's spectacular. He's unbelievable.
He's the whole package, and he is the key to, this team admittedly isn't number one. Is this team top 5 if Patrick Mahomes isn't the quarterback? Probably not. But that's how much of an impact Patrick Mahomes has on this team, as on the NFL as a whole. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then they have a fine backup in Carson Wentz. That's a fine backup. But
he could make those plays, too. That's the thing about Carson Wentz.
Yes. But then, again, let's get to this receiver room. Last year, we were working with Justin Watson, Rashee Rice, who is still here now.
MVS.
Mm-hmm. Who's the other? Kadarius Toney. Mm-hmm. Completely revamped room, and a room that it screams speed and it screams bombs away. Patrick Mahomes is back. Okay, start with the guy who I think ends up being the top receiver if he's healthy, Hollywood Brown. I think Hollywood Brown is this team's not. I think Hollywood Brown, if healthy the whole season, has a monster year with Patrick Mahomes. Man.
Yeah, no, Hollywood Brown is a nice deep threat because of his speed. Now, it sucks that really is all he's bringing. He could run fine routes.
He's a good route runner. He's good in short game.
Yeah, but he really is just speed. That's really what he's doing. That's all he's bringing for the most part. Fine route runner. Not reliable with his hands. Doesn't track the ball overly well. But again, able to separate because of the speed, because of the route running, and, that's the name of the game right there.
And you know what? How it's going to work, because it's the Chiefs, all of those concerns you have about catching the ball and tracking the ball, they're all going to go away because he's playing with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah, because Mahomes throws the most catchable ball in football, except for when he needs it to not be catchable. And then, Hollywood Brown will probably drop some balls throughout the season. It'll be frustrating. But playoffs are going to come around, and, Mahomes is going to spray his little pixie dust or whatever he does in pregame for the playoffs. And Hollywood Brown's all of a sudden is now Larry Fitzgerald, right?
Yes.
It's kind of just what happens.
Then we can talk about Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice was this team's best receiver last year. He was a rookie. I wasn't a big Rashee Rice guy coming out of college.
You weren't. I was pretty big on him, actually.
I liked him pressed into the sideline a little too often for my liking.
Fair.
But Reid, as we'll get to Xavier Worthy, does a good job of keeping his receivers out of those situations, right? And you think, I'm assuming you're going to say you think Rashee Rice is going to be the best receiver in this room?
I do. I think it is nice that now they have more options. But I think what he does after the catch, he was, I want to say, third in the league in yards after catch. Among receivers. He was high up there. And he's a very good after catch player. Very, very impressive after catch player. And I think him in this offense, they're going to take advantage of that. And he can make some nice grabs too. Like, he has a large catch radius and he takes advantage.
But of course we have to talk about the new fastest man at the NFL Combine, Xavier Worthy. I mean, come on.
He can separate.
He can separate. Really
well.
He's fast. He's really fast. And, it's not just fast at the Combine fast. You saw it on tape.
Yes, exactly.
You knew how fast this guy
and he's a good route runner, too.
Yes,
he's a good route runner on top of it. And that's where it's like, again, separation is the name of the game. You have guys that could separate. You're in a good spot. Xavier Worthy is one of the better separators in the NFL already, right? Mm-hmm. He reminds me a lot of a Tank Dell in the fact that he has everything you need to be an elite separator. It's just, not overly big, not really going to threaten you much as, like a middle-of-the-field possession guy. I don't really love his ability to go up and get it at all. But again, it doesn't matter how good you are at contested catching if you're always 5 yards away from the nearest defender.
Yes. And it helps that Worthy went to the space where Andy Reid knows how to use speed. You know what I mean? He's going to find ways to get him open and get him open deep down the field. And there's other names in this room. McCole Hardman, another speed guy. Yeah. I don't like Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore's actually
I think it's time to give up on Sky Moore.
We got to let it go. Let it go. But Justin Watson's good for a big catch every other game. Like, he does it every game, it feels like.
And McCole Hardman is a nice gadget guy, right? He can get the ball in space, make plays after the catch. And then they still have Kadarius Toney, who is pretty much the same. Everything I said about McCole Hardman is true, except Kadarius Toney is one of the most dynamic players after the catch in the NFL. It's just he's a head case.
Head case and he doesn't have good hands, isn't a great route runner. Well, actually, he's actually a pretty good route runner. It's just he drops everything.
Well, he drops everything, and I don't think there's a lot of routes where it's like, Andy Reid wouldn't draw up that route concept. I think Kadarius Toney ran. Yeah, there's no way he was told to run that. Yeah, exactly. And then Justin Ross is. You want to talk about a potential out of nowhere stud this year? I think this could be the Justin Ross year. I do. I really do. I think this could be the year where he emerges because he was good at college. He just got injured, and then he fell. Yeah, and then he fell, and then he went undrafted. Of course, he went to the Chiefs. And then year 2, there was a lot of talk about him potentially breaking out, and he didn't really do anything. But now, this year, I think we at least start to see a little bit more Justin Ross on film.
That'd be nice. But let's move off of these receivers now. We'll move to the tight end. And it features another one of the greatest, not only one of the best in the league, but one of the best we've ever seen at the position. This is another one on the team, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, man. He's not what he didn't have some spectacular season last year. In fact, I would argue
it was his worst season in a while.
Until the playoffs.
Yeah, it was his worst season in a while. But again, he turned it up in playoffs, which again goes back to Mahomes' magic pixie dust.
Yes. And Travis Kelce, his game is, I know exactly where Mahomes wants me. I know where to settle into zones. I know how to get open for him, and he gets open. Their connection is potentially the best. Like, if just they're linked, man. Everything.
They're a hive mind.
Yes, they're a hive mind. There's a play last year where I think Kelce was running an in route to the end zone. He was like, "What if I just ran the other route because I think it's going to be open?" And Mahomes is on the exact same page on him as him, and just touchdown. It's absurd watching these two work together.
And again, that pisses me off. Like, that should not be how that goes, but it is, right? Because why wouldn't it be, right? I mean, Kelce's really good. He's one of my, most infuriated... he infuriates me. He infuriates me so much because his game is being a reliable, consistent receiver, and he isn't a good route runner. He really isn't that good of a route runner. But he is the best zone settler ever. Yeah, he has the best feel for zone coverage out of any player in NFL history. And because we live in such a zone-dominant time, Travis Kelce ends up on 1,000 receiver more often than not. Right? Yes. From the tight end position. And you know what? Again, I can't be mad at it. you earn, like, it's not like it's BS, right? It just pisses me off that,
Yes.
like, this is the best tight end ever, the guy that can't really block overly well, pretty much lining up exclusively in the slot, and this is the best.
Well, he used to be a pretty decent blocker, but yes, not at this point in his career.
Yeah, it's just like, Kelsey is one of, there's very few players where I'm, like, not fans of them. Kelsey's one of them, right?
Really?
He is. I've always not been a Kelsey guy. I never have been. I am, however, a Noah Gray guy, right? Their backup tight end. He's a lot more fun, a lot more traditional, a lot less scary, because I don't like the new wave of tight ends and where that position is going. Noah Gray is another one of those, Dalton Schultz's, Jake Ferguson, traditional tight end, does their thing. He also settles pretty well against zone.
He does. Learning from the best ever will do that for you.
It will, right? And he makes good catches at the catch point. He is able to block well. He is able to do all the stuff you want a traditional tight end to do. He's mainly there to block, but he does a little bit of everything, which is nice.
And they also drafted a tight end this year named Jared Wiley.
Yeah.
And Jared Wiley is like, he's so interesting. He's a receiving tight end. This is not a good blocker. He has next to no lower body strength. Like, this also shows up in his run after catch ability. He's not good after the catch either. He gets hit and he's down. But he's a good route runner. He's a really good route runner. And he's a great contested catch guy, a great threat down the field. And I expect Andy Reid to recognize those strengths, recognize those weaknesses, and make Jared Wiley a pretty decent player. So,
eventually Kelsey will be gone. They need someone to fill in. I think Wiley is at least someone they're experimenting with, and if they don't like him, they'll just bring in someone eventually. Irv Smith is also someone they brought in, and he's another guy, plays like that traditional tight end role, can do a little bit of everything, win at the catch point, be a good blocker, pretty much everything. So yeah, it's probably the best. It's one of the best tight end rooms in the NFL. I don't want to say the best because I think I'm undermining someone. I think I'm yeah. I didn't want to say that because I had a feeling I was forgetting about someone. I don't know who I would be forgetting about, but there definitely is better. It is a good one though. But yeah, next position.
Then you look at these running backs. Isaiah Pacheco is angry at the ground, and he shows it, man. He runs with high knees, hits a gap, and falls forward. Yeah. That is Pacheco's game, man. He is not a guy who goes, he is east and west. He does not know those are directions. He only knows north. He only knows north, really, if I'm being completely honest with you. So, Isaiah Pacheco, just a really damn good, powerful running back who's also he's getting better as a pass catcher. I wouldn't say a good one yet, but he's getting better as a pass catcher.
He's definitely improving there, and also a good pass blocker.
Yes.
Good pass blocker. Yeah, I'm a Pacheco guy. I like Pacheco a lot. Again, runs really tough, guaranteed to fall forward pretty much every time. I don't think he's ever fell backwards in his life.
I've never seen it. Never seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is more of that scat guy, has not lived up to the first-round pick thing. But scat guy, able to catch passes. He's more of like that east and west guy, has all right vision. He was supposed to have better. He does cut well, though. He does actually cut really well. He just doesn't know how to use that yet. I still like him as an RB2, though. I do, because he has a nice physical profile.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's also Deneric Prince, who, another guy that also hates the ground. He runs with high knees as well, kind of like Pacheco. And he's a bigger dude. He can run with some power. He's a nice guy to have here. And they also have a undrafted rookie out of UCLA named Carson Steele. He's another. They have a type of running back outside of Edwards-Helaire. He's a big, powerful running back. Yeah. They like their power guys, and a lot of that is because of who they have up front and how they want to run the ball.
And let's get to that front unit, starting with the rookie second rounder, Kingsley Suamataia.
Yes,
right?
Suamataia. You killed that.
I practiced it. I practiced it out of BYU. Right, a player who has the athleticism to be.
I saw him a lot as like an upside kind of project pick for a team, right?
Yes, and we talked about a couple of people who are great O-line coaches, Bill Callahan, guys like that. Andy Reid has always, even back in Philly, has always been great with offensive linemen and bringing in coaches to coach up the offensive linemen. Because of that, I think Suamataia might be a stud this year.
I think so too. I'm in that boat. I liked him enough to like. I thought they'd take him in the first round. If I'm being completely honest with you,
I thought the Ravens would.
Yeah,
like he's a Ravens guy. He is big dude,
athletic.
Yeah, athletic. And yeah, Andy Reid's gonna make him into a stud. He is.
And I say we start with the other tackle before we get to the creme de la creme of this line, but Jawan Taylor, I think he'll be the weakest link on this line for sure. Mr. False Start himself. He just wasn't very good last year. And it sucks because he had a really good year in Jacksonville before that, man. He was fantastic in Jacksonville. And then he comes to the Chiefs and not quite the same player, struggled in pass blocking, wasn't a bad run blocker, but he was okay. I don't think he's going to be like the worst right tackle in football or anything, but it's nothing you're excited about. Maybe if he reverts back to Jacksonville form, then you're excited, but not the case right now.
At this point, I'm willing to say he's the weak spot, 100%. He definitely is, unless Mataia isn't very good. But even then, maybe Wayne Morris. I like Wayne Morris as like a depth piece.
Yeah.
But again, we'll see what happens at that right tackle spot. That's the only one that really worries me. We look at the interior, though, and you know how we said, like, oh, yeah, that receiver core isn't too great? That's because this is where they allocate the assets, right? They focus a lot more on the offensive line, especially that interior.
And this interior is maybe the best in football?
It's definitely the best pass blocking. Yeah. Without a doubt, the best pass blocking. Is it the best in football overall? I still really like that Rams unit. I still really like that Lions unit. But maybe, right? It's hard to doubt Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. Right? Those three are studs. All of them. Joe Thuney, he was good with the Pats, but then he went to the Chiefs and really took that next step and became like a dog.
Yes.
A dog. Such a good pass blocker. Unbelievable pass blocker. And then he's also able to move people in the run game, and it's just like, oh my, like, what does he do poorly? He doesn't. He's actually one of the best guards in the sport. Like,
yes.
He is in that top tier, and he doesn't really get respect like he is. And then you could say the same thing about Trey Smith. Both of them, really well-rounded, don't lose pass blocking reps, ever.
Never.
Ever. And the same could be said about Creed Humphrey, who is also a very good run blocker.
Creed Humphrey is in discussion for best center in football, especially with Jason Kelce gone. Mm-hmm. Never forget he went way too late. Like I know he went in the second round, but there's a center taken above him. Like, keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. Creed Humphrey was so good coming out of college, and then he went to the Chiefs, and everyone was surprised that he was so good in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was drafted behind. That was the Tyler Linderbaum draft, right? Am I correct in saying that?
No, that was when that the Linderbaum draft?
I think it was.
No.
That was 2022.
That was
Who
22.
was the center drafted over?
It was Myers, Josh Myers on the Packers.
Oh yeah, okay, that was absolutely a mistake. I was gonna say he got drafted behind Linderbaum, and he's definitely better than Linderbaum, and he's absolutely better than Josh Myers. Yeah, that's not even close. Creed Humphrey, he's been unbelievable ever since his rookie year, like you said. And then putting him next to Joe Thuney and Trey Smith, and it's just like, that's one of the best trios in the NFL right there. Not just on the offensive line, just best overall trio of guys. Yeah, they're unbelievable right there. But yeah, that's all for the offense. Who do you have as your offensive player of the year?
I can't pick anybody. I think Mahomes. It's boring. I'm picking Mahomes. I think
it is Mahomes. That's the undisputable correct answer.
I think he's going to be the MVP this year. I think he's getting an MVP and a three-peat. I really do.
How about offensive rookie of the year?
I'm actually going to go with Kingsley Suamataia. I think he's going to be a stud.
I think Xavier Worthy is going to do his damage, but I think it is going to be Suamataia. I do. I think Worthy is going to be a lot more of a rotational guy than people want to admit. And yeah. Now, do you have your X Factor or 12th man?
I have my 12th man, and my 12th man is Noah Gray. Because he is a nice 12th guy to put on the field. Two tight end sets. They like him. I like Noah Gray.
I actually don't have either on my
Okay.
offense. I have both on my defense. So now we move on to the defensive scheme. Steve Spagnuolo, one of the guys who's been a coordinator for ridiculously long, tried to be a head coach a while ago, wasn't great at it, and now he's just stuck as a defensive coordinator. I think he likes it way more that way.
Yeah, I'll say this. There's a few things more valuable in this sport than a coordinator who's good and is not going to be a head coach anytime soon.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that's what he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spagnuolo, remember, he beat Brady. Like, he beat Brady. Not the Giants, not Eli, not Michael Strahan. He beat Brady. Right? That was his doing. And I gotta say, man, he has only added to the resume since then. I mean, last season was unbelievable. Unbelievable what he did. He's never really been he's been more of like a zone blitz type of guy for a lot of his career. And then he'll go to man a decent amount. Like, he changes up a lot of what he does in the back end. He will always be a blitz guy, though. Last year, though, was the first time they really said, hey, you follow the one. Right? That was the first time he ever went ahead and said that.
Yep.
But you know what? It worked. That guy that hey you that I was referring to, that was L'Jarius Sneed, and they lost him. So there's a big hole to be filled here. However, I'm still expecting a press man heavy defense with a lot of interesting blitz looks. There's a huge margin for error, but it's very rewarding when done right. Will it be done right? Considering most of this core is still here, I don't see why not. Right? This is going to be a very, very good defense. I'm expecting... Do you think a base out of nickel this year or 4-3?
I'd probably lean nickel.
So here's the thing. Like, I think so just because it is a pass-heavy league, but their best personnel is on the field when they're in a 4-3.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Absolutely.
So I
do think they're going to run more. I do think they're probably going to run more nickel.
You're probably
I know they like their nickel.
Yeah.
And I kind of like their nickel too after what I've seen.
Okay. So, yeah, let's expect 4-2-5 then. But yeah, it's going to be a man-heavy defense probably. It's definitely going to be blitz-heavy.
And it's a lot of press. It's a lot of, we're going to press you at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. That's what it was last year. Will that change without Snead? I have no idea. But if it does, it's for good reason, right?
Yes.
Let's start with this defense, though. You want to start on the defensive line?
Start on the defensive line.
All right, so we got, starting with George Karlaftis, a player I was a big, big fan of, right?
Me too.
Short arms, right?
T-Rex
but,
arms,
man, he has unbelievable technique. Unbelievable technique. And he has strength, too. He has a strong base, right? He's able to hold his ground consistently, seal the edge, all that good stuff. I love Karlaftis. I do,
too. I think he's not ever going to be some elite edge rusher, but he's a damn good one, and he's so good against the run. I really love what he does against the run, man. From a technical standpoint, from him being able to set the edge, which you need in a 4-3, 4-2 defense. So I'm a big Karlaftis guy too. And on the other side, you got Mike Dana. Mike Dana, who's also good edge setter, really good run defender. Yep. Maybe not
big
quite
guy.
The pass rusher Karlaftis is, but that's okay. He's here to set the edge.
Big guy for sure. And then you talk about the pass rushers. That's when we look at the depth here. Felix Anudike-Uzomah, he was drafted to be more of the pass rush guy. I don't know how you feel about him.
I went to war with Chiefs Twitter last year over Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I was like, this guy's not very good. At least not right now. Yeah. And he wasn't very good last year.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. But I think you drafted him around
I know, but they were like, they drafted him to be a developmental guy. And I'm like, you didn't draft Felix Anudike. He's not a developmental guy. You drafted Felix to come in and play, and he didn't play for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. But again, you hope first-round pick, they have a vision for him. But if not, they still have depth because Charles Omenihu, really good player. Really good player that could get to that quarterback. For him, he is injured right now, so that is my concern. But when he's healthy, he could come in for Mike Dana on those third downs and be a stud. for them. And he could come in for Mike Dana as a starter. Like, I think that that's a competition, not because Mike Dana is a bad starter, but because both of those guys are really damn good at football. Right?
Yes. And you might be saying, well, how is this pass rush going to look? There's not elite pass rushers on the other side. How's it going to look? Well, you have Chris Jones.
the best pass rushing interior D lineman not named Aaron Donald for the past 5 years.
Yes,
right.
And he's there, and guess what? He can also line up on the end, which he does a lot, and he's damn good coming off the edge, too.
Yeah.
Chris Jones is the whole package, man. There's a reason they gave him the contract he did. I'll say this. Chiefs probably win that game if they have Travis Kelce and Chris Jones and against the Lions week 1, but they didn't have them. And those are these two of their best players, especially in Chris Jones' case. He is this defense, really. Absolutely.
And then we got Derek Nottie as the other interior guy who, he's also a pretty good player. You're going to notice this is a deep, deep D-line. You add a Mike Pennell to that rotation, a player I think could go out there and play, right? You have guys that can line up on the edge.
Patrick Sypher D-lineman, man.
Yeah.
Mike Pennell.
Exactly, right? You got a rotation of guys. Chris Jones could go out, play on the edge. Nottie, I think, could go play out on the edge. Mike Danek could play on the interior. Like, you could mix stuff up a bit, right? And I think that is part of what makes this so dangerous, right?
Yes.
You won't always see the same look. And when you do, what about the creative blitzes that you're going to see post-snap? Like, it's a really, in terms of the front, it is really dynamic. And a lot of things can change at any moment. But then we'll move over to the linebackers.
This is one of the best. I think this is a really good duo. I think this could potentially be one of the best in football.
I would say it might be one of the best trios.
Sure, I can absolutely say that. But if we're talking about them basing out a nickel, then it's less of a trio, more of a duo. But still, really good linebacker room.
Can we? I don't want to be negative, but can we start with who do you think is going to be cut out? Because Drew Tranquill is really good. Nick Bolton is really good. Leo Chanel is really good, too.
I think Drew Tranquill is probably the one.
Odd man out? Yeah, I probably agree. That sucks, though. I love Tranquill.
Tranquill's good.
Yeah.
Tranquill's good.
Yeah.
But we'll start with Nick Bolton, who is probably this team's best linebacker. He plays with his hair on fire. He plays with his hair on fire.
Yeah, and he's
a hard hitter, athlete, comes down in the run game and just lays the wood. But he's also good in pass coverage.
Yeah.
Yes, he's also good in pass coverage.
Yeah.
He's a really underrated linebacker.
I will say he is someone that could over-pursue a little bit. But, I think Spagnuolo has a type here.
Yes.
This is the first, type linebacker, I think. Also, the last team. So, I guess the only group of, type linebackers we've talked about. I guess this and the Patriots. So what are the odds? Are 32 and our number 1 are both the only teams that have a type at linebacker.
Yes.
They like guys that play insanely aggressive and play like there is no next down, right? They are taking their first steps forward. They are going to try and make a collision happen on every given play. All right? That's how all three of these linebackers play. Right.
And then you get Leo Chanel. I was a massive Leo Chanel fan coming out of that draft. And I was so sad that he fell to the third round and went to the Chiefs. And he looked so good, man. He looked, especially in the playoffs if Leo Chanel ended up as this team's best linebacker next year, I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
I would be surprised. If he ended up as one of the best premier linebackers in the NFL next year, wouldn't be surprised. Leo Chanel's that good. He's huge. He plays the run so well. But he's such a good athlete, and he can cover well.
And he's an insane blitzer.
Yes.
He is. The term I always hear when I hear people talk about Chanel is unicorn. Even coming out of college, unicorn. Because he does everything, right? He can do everything and do everything at a really high level. He's a freak. I think he is the biggest freak of nature in that linebacker room. And then we go to Drew Tranquill, who, again, I love. Good run defender, can defend the pass.
He's a smart player.
Yeah,
he's a
smart football player who's really instinctive, plays downhill, and can be a thumper, right? I love that linebacker trio. Even if Tranquill isn't out there on first downs, maybe, running situations when they switch to the 4-3, I think they will be a really good front for sure. In terms of depth, though, I don't think they have much. I really don't.
No, I would agree. It's a pretty shallow room.
Yeah. But now we move to the secondary. And this is where at least a question arises. We like McDuffie, right? Absolutely. Love McDuffie. Now, here's the question, though. He played in the slot last year. Is a little bit of a misutilization of his talent to have him outside. He'll still be good, but he was a really good player in the nickel.
Yes, he was a fantastic nickel.
Yeah.
And I still kind of expect him to play most of the time in nickel. I won't lie. I really do expect him to play in the nickel a ton. I get it. They lost a fantastic corner, and he is fantastic. But Spagnuolo, this is not the first time it's happened.
Yeah.
He's gone through this before. He's just so good at coaching these corners up and having a good scheme with them, man. And I think he's got some guys here that could potentially be good. We'll start with Jalen Watson, who we both can agree is probably the best corner outside of McDuffie in this room. Jalen Watson's a good player, man.
Yeah. Instinctive ball hawk. Like, he makes plays, right? And he could also match up on receivers and be spot on in man coverage, right? I'm a big Watson guy. I like his game a lot.
And then when you got long arms, you fit in the Spagnuolo defense because you can press.
Yep, exactly.
And guess who else has long arms? Before I get to Nazee Johnson, Joshua Williams, I think, could be a guy that can emerge here. He is like stereotypical press long arm coverage corner. He's 6'3". I could totally see a world where he works out with Spagnuolo because this is the type of corner he turns into studs.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it depends on if that's the vision. Is that the vision again, or are they going to switch it up in the back half?
Yes, and there's a chance they do.
We don't know.
Right now, Nazee Johnson is the starter who's been getting a lot of starting reps in camp because I believe Jalen Watson's been hurt. But Nazee Johnson, we don't know a whole lot about him. But I have no – here's my thing. Like, I have a hard time believing they're going to be bad with Spagnuolo because Spagnuolo is so good at developing these outside corners.
That's true. And, again, he'll mold it to fit their skill set. He isn't stubborn. He isn't. So he's willing to change it up. Yeah, I mean, they have guys, though, and it comes down to just who are the best guys, right?
And someone I do want to mention here, because I do think they're going to have McDuffie in the slot a lot because he is that good of a slot guy. But Shamari Connor can do it, too, if McDuffie's on the outside, which McDuffie will be fine outside, too. Shamari Connor's, like, they drafted him last year. He's interesting. He's a good player. They put him everywhere. They put him outside. They put him at nickel. They put him at safety. They move him around, and he's going to be a player that you're going to get to know the name of, I think, for sure.
To me, I think the secondary looks Trent McDuffie as an outside corner, which, again, I don't love it, but he'll be great as an outside corner. I just think it's a waste to have him outside because I think he would be an unbelievable nickel. Then you have Jalen Watson as the other outside corner, and then Shamari Connor as the nickel. I think that's what I'm looking at here.
And that's fine. I think that's good.
It is really good, especially then you look at the safeties. Jaden Reed is still a really good strong safety.
Yeah, Justin Reed is a...
Oh, did I say Jalen? Justin Reed, yeah. Justin Reed is a very good strong safety. I'm a big fan of him, what he could do in coverage. Very athletic guy. And then Brian Cook from Cincinnati.
Yes.
Good safety, too.
He's a good blitzer. I really like what Brian Cook does when he blitzes, man.
Yes, exactly. And again, Spagnuolo will do that. He's going to use that. If he hears you can blitz, he gets a little rager, all right? He gets excited. He gets excited when he hears a guy could blitz.
And then they drafted a guy, Jaden Hicks. I wasn't a huge Hicks guy, but I can acknowledge this is a fantastic fit with this defense.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my God, absolutely. I don't think he gets much play time this year, though.
But that's what happens in these they draft people and you don't hear about them for 2-3 years, and then they just appear. They drafted Joshua Williams. You've never heard of Joshua Williams before. He might be really good this year.
Yeah, that's true.
Jalen Watson was a 7th rounder 2 years ago, and he hasn't got much play time because he's been in front of him.
Yeah, and Leo Chanel was drafted, did nothing year one. And then this year, he became a stud.
Spagnuolo tends to just draft guys and he's like, I can use you. I can develop you.
Yep.
And that's why I trust his development.
And that's why I feel like the Anadike Uzama thing might happen a little bit, right? But yeah, it's an unbelievable defense. And with that defensive coordinator, things are bound to go together. Who was your defensive player of the year?
I'm going to go with Chris Jones. I wanted to pick someone else, but I got to go with Chris Jones.
I don't know. I feel like Jones is still such a stud.
He's still so
I don't know. I think...
man.
like, there's a part of me that wants to go Chanel. There really
I wanted
is.
to go Chanel so bad.
And I think
I wanted to go Chanel so bad.
if McDuffie was still playing the nickel, I would go him.
Yeah.
But because he's not, I'll go... no, I think I will go McDuffie. You know what? Yeah, why not? I'll go McDuffie.
Okay.
I will. I love
Chris
McDuffie.
Jones. I want to make the record known. It was between Chris Jones and Leo Chanel for me. I really think Chanel's in for a huge season.
And then defensive rookie of the year, there's one pick, really.
Yeah, it's Jaden Hicks.
Yeah, and
But
even
he's
he
not
won't
gonna
be
on the
overly
field.
impactful, but I think when they maybe run big nickel, which I don't think they're going to do much, he could go out there. Maybe someone goes down. He's just their best rookie defender, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And then my X Factor and my 12th man. What do you have? Do you have X Factor or 12th man?
My X Factor... I said my 12th man was Noah Gray. My X Factor's on defense.
Okay, say your X Factor, and then I'll say mine too.
My X Factor is Jalen Watson. If Jalen Watson can come in and kind of be a really good corner and replacement for our boy, I kind of have no doubt he's going to be a good corner. I'm going to be honest with you. So yeah, I think that's the X Factor.
Well, it's just a question of how good. Will he be L'Jarius Sneed? Right?
Will he help
thing.
fill in for the loss of L'Jarius
Exactly.
Sneed? If they can, I have next to no worries about this defense.
So that was my X Factor too. And then 12th man, it's tough, right? Because I want to go Tranquil, but I also really want to go Omenahue.
Yeah.
I really do. Both are really good players. I think Tranquil's going to get more time, though. So I'm going Tranquil.
Nice.
Right.
Now we move to, potentially the best special teams unit in the league, and also, for sure, the most controversial.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's really funny how things work, right? A team wins a Super Bowl, and, this is the same team that cut Kareem Hunt a couple years ago, so, they care. But I guess they would rather have a kicker with morally questionable actions and a punter with also morally questionable actions.
More morally questionable
actions than a running back with morally questionable actions.
He's going to be on the field more. At least maybe Ariza won't be on the field much because they won't punt a lot this year.
Yeah, exactly. And, I wonder if it's going to be a tradition, like whenever Harrison Butker drills a field goal, even at Chiefs stadiums, they all, yell boo. I'm very curious if that's going to be a thing. I think it would be really funny if that's something. Maybe at least at away games.
They might boo every time a special teams unit comes on the field, man.
Yeah, that could be the case. But this is going to be a good special team.
Unfortunately, it's going to be a really good special team.
Because like him or not, Matt Ariza is really good at punting the football.
They call him the punt god for a reason.
Yeah,
now,
he is.
We do not endorse Matt Ariza in the slightest.
We do not.
We acknowledge that. Yes,
he is quite good at football. Yes. Sadly. He nukes it, and then Harrison Butker. I also don't endorse what he says.
Yes.
However. Very good kicker.
Really good kicker.
Very good kicker. He's the highest paid kicker in the league, and it makes sense. Yeah, he was... I want to say he missed one field goal last year. One or two. He was spectacular. And then we look at the return unit.
We can move off the controversial stuff and look at this return unit.
Yeah, as far as we know, controversial. I still think Kadarius Toney's doing something. That Xavier Worthy, I'm also not sure where he stands morally. I know where Rashee Rice stands.
I feel better about Worthy. He hasn't done anything yet, so we can give him the benefit of the doubt.
But Xavier Worthy, they have guys. Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, Mecole Hardman. I mean, they have a bunch of guys. They have a bunch of guys who could be unbelievable. And then they also brought in a rugby star, Louis Rees-Zammit. Yeah.
I completely forgot they did that.
It's going to be interesting. Is he a return man, or did they bring him in to do other stuff on special teams? Because as an athlete, I think he will do a lot on special teams. I just don't know if that's as a returner or what.
I've heard them really rave about the guy. I'm so, intrigued to see what he does. Right?
I think he's just an athlete.
What if he turns into another Mailata situation where he just comes over and he's just incredible?
Yeah.
Right, there's a world where that is the case.
Oh, you want to play quarterback? Okay, quarterback receives the punts and then runs into the painted end zone. There you go. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Yeah. Then we talked about him a lot as a corner for them, but here's a big reason why I don't want him to start at corner. Nazeeh Johnson was a unbelievable special teamer last year. And if they have him at corner, I don't know if he's going to be on every special team like he was last year. If he doesn't start, I expect him to maintain the role of special teamer.
Can I tell you something super interesting with Reece Sammet real quick in regards to special teams? So I don't know if you noticed, he was and he's been practicing and he did it in the game. He's doing the kickoffs.
Yeah.
And he's going to use his rugby background because
but he's not confirmed to do that for the start of the year. I saw that he was doing that in the preseason game. Yes. I didn't want to mention it
because we at least want to mention it because these new special teams rules. It's nice to have a kicker that can go tackle somebody. And you're playing rugby, you can do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, here's the thing then. If we're going to mention everything they've tried, they also tried Justin Reed as their guy doing the kickoff. So we'll see. Like, again, I like to see that they're getting creative because that's what you should be doing with this new rule set. We'll see what happens there. But like I said, like there's a lot of guys on the special teams unit that I think are studs. I think other guys that are on the team that might contribute a lot on special teams. Noah Gray, Curtis Jacobs, Jared Wiley, Irv Smith, Kelvin Joseph. This is, I think, the best special teams unit in the NFL this upcoming year. I think I would agree.
I think I would agree.
But now we move on to the prediction for the season, right?
Yes, we do.
What do you have for the ceiling?
I think the ceiling for this team is, I wanted to go even higher, but 15-2.
Okay, so we agree. All right. Let's see if we could get 2 today. Come on. What's your floor?
I think the floor for this team's like 11-6.
1 off. Damn, we could have went 6 for 6 today. In case you were unaware, we're recording this after we recorded the Lions one. And in the Lions one, that was the first time that we were on the same page with the ceiling, floor, and the prediction. And I was going to find it crazy if we could do that again in back-to-back.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, my floor is 10-7. What is your prediction?
I think they're going 14-3.
Yeah, no, I have them. So, you look at their schedule, it's tough. Like, they have tough games in there.
Totally is.
I have them as 13-4. Right?
That's cool. That's a game off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a tough schedule, though, right? I could see them lose. Like, it feels... I wanted to go, like, a solid, like... I really felt like I was going to go 11-6, but I changed a lot of my predictions for other teams in order to make that higher. Because I really feel like this team's going to do stuff, man. They're going to do stuff.
I think this team is winning the Super Bowl. I think this team is going to do it.
You think it's going to three-peat, really?
I think it's going to three-peat. That's my prediction.
All right. So we got Baltimore in Week 1. Thursday Night Football. A season opener.
I like the Chiefs in Week 1, man. I do.
Well, last year, Week 1 wasn't too great for them.
Last year, they didn't have Travis Kelce or Chris Jones. Now they'll have both.
That's true.
And they still almost beat the Lions.
That's fair. I think I'm going to go Baltimore, though. I do. Because of how Week 1 went last year. And then also Baltimore, I think, with Derrick Henry now. I think they got some energy to them. I'm taking Baltimore. Cincinnati.
They're coming off a bit of a mini bye with Thursday. I like the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I do. I think Cincinnati's a good team. I think it's going to be a really good game. Joe Burrow's got a chance to beat this team, absolutely. But
Chris Jones is going to get in his face a lot.
Yes.
And that makes it tough. Right.
But
the Bengals are also good. The Bengals are also good at beating the Chiefs. Like, that's something, too. I'm going to take the Chiefs, though.
Yeah. Then we got Chiefs at Atlanta. I like the Chiefs here. Atlanta's a good team. Don't get me wrong. But I like the Chiefs here.
Atlanta, I think, is a team that can give them problems, especially in Atlanta, right? I mean, you look, they have Bijan. Bijan might be able to do a lot there. I know they got a defense that is press man heavy and they could be physical, but the Falcons have physical receivers too, right? I think we could see a world where Drake London has a heck of a day. I think we could see a world where Kyle Pitts has a heck of a day. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a pretty good game. I will lean the Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a good one.
I think it's going to be a good game too, but I will lean the Chiefs here, absolutely.
Yeah.
So then Chiefs and Chargers, I feel very good about the Chiefs winning both these games. I just don't think Chargers are going to be very good this year.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have the
And
run defense to beat them. Like, that's the
Yes.
thing here. The Chargers run
Saints,
a lot, and they don't have quite a dominant O-line to really do it.
Saints at the Chiefs. The Saints defense is going to be really good this year. I'm
Yeah.
fully confident in that. This offense is just going to stink, and I think the Chiefs. I trust the Chiefs offense more than I do the Saints offense in this game. And they're both
Mahomes is
good
bound to
defenses.
make something happen, whether your
Yes.
defense is good or not. Then they have a bye. Then they play against the 49ers.
I
think this
like
could
the
be
Chiefs
good.
here off a bye. It's gonna be a good game. But dude, the Chiefs have like the Niners number. Mahomes has the Niners number.
Yeah, and that 49ers O-line is not too strong. I don't think it can hold up here. Yeah.
I like it, especially Andy Reid off a bye is
Oh,
absolutely
yeah, that too.
terrifying.
That too.
Yeah.
Then at Las Vegas.
I think the Raiders are gonna win one of these games.
At least.
At least.
If
If not,
I were to
if I were to pick
pick-
a team that won two, I'd take the
I'd
Raiders.
pick Vegas, yeah. I agree. Vegas gives them problems, and they're built to beat them, clearly. You look at what they're good at compared to what the Chiefs are good at, they are built to beat them, man.
Yes.
Then the Buccaneers. Another primetime game. I think the Chiefs win this one with a lot of ease.
Yeah.
Right?
would
I don't
agree.
know what about the Bucs would really give them problems here.
Nothing. I would say
Yeah.
nothing really.
And then same with Denver, right?
Same with Denver.
Then Buffalo. This could be a really good game.
We talked about this game because for the Buffalo Bills, they played them, and then they play the 49ers after. This feels like in Buffalo, Buffalo's still trying. Like Chiefs have won a ton of games at this point. Buffalo is making sure they get a playoff spot here. This feels like a game Buffalo comes out and wins in Buffalo, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
No, it's going to be a good game, but
Yeah.
these two teams play each other really close all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just a matter of who's going to do it, right?
I mean, I'm just trying to think for Buffalo, like who's getting open here,
right.
right?
Khalil Shakir is. That's who.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, yeah. All right, sure. Carolina.
And
Carolina.
plus, it's week 11.
Yep.
We're getting to the point in the season where they just drop a game for some reason.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the game they drop. I think the game they drop might be this one right here against Carolina.
Carolina off a bye, it could be a thing. I disagree.
Carolina.
I kind of, I don't think. Hey, I mean, again, this is the part of the season where they do underestimate and they do stupid shit.
Yeah.
And Carolina's off a bye. It could definitely happen. I would still lean the Chiefs, but yeah.
Then week 13, we already talked about Vegas. I think they match up really well there. The Chargers, we talked about them. Chiefs should beat them both times with ease.
Yep.
Cleveland, that pass rush maybe gives them problems. Like if Kingsley Suamataia doesn't have a very good year, I think this is a team that will really take advantage of them.
Yes, I would agree. But I also think he's going to have a good year. And I also think they're going to play. I think the Chiefs will play the run really well. And then you're depending on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And
we know
that's
how
our
that goes.
checklist.
Yep.
Final checklist of the season.
Uh-huh.
It's a loss.
Yeah. Then the Texans.
Chiefs, man.
Yeah.
Super fun game.
It is in Arrowhead.
Yes.
But I feel like the Texans are kind of the type of team that could go ahead into Arrowhead in the regular season, late regular season, potentially with playoff spots on the line, playoff seeding on the line.
Yep.
I think Texans
could.
will win this one.
They could. This could be a good game. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the year.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to lean the Chiefs, but this is definitely a very winnable game for the Texans.
The Texans got some bangers late in the year, man. They have some really good games late. But eventually that catches up with you, too. Like, that's something you got to keep in mind. Then the Steelers. Do we think that some Steelers bullshittery happens here? No.
No, I think the Chiefs are kind of immune to the Steelers bullshittery.
Yeah,
they
seem
the
to
team
be.
in the league.
They seem to be.
That,
yeah.
has their bullshit.
It is a Wednesday game, though. It is on Christmas.
Mahomes isn't going to lose on Christmas.
That's fair.
Mahomes is not going to lose on Christmas. Yeah. And then I have the Broncos winning the last game of the season because I think the Chiefs sit their starters. I think
that's fair. But even then, does Denver win?
Maybe not, but I'll give them the win.
Sure. I think this will be a big Carson Wentz game. I'm taking the Chiefs. But yeah, that is all for the last episode of our preseason power rankings. It was a pleasure, of course.
It was a pleasure doing this with you.
Yeah,
fun.
of course. Thank you all for watching.
Videos,
if you have another team you want to listen to our hour-long thoughts on, go ahead and check out either my channel or Dean's. Now you can go ahead, look at the power rankings, and overreact to a certain team's ranking and not watch the video, because I know too many people probably do that.
Yes.
So yeah, go ahead, look at the list, leave your mean comment, and then not watch the video. Or if you want to be rational, watch the video, right? It's entirely your call. But thank you if you actually have, watched multiple of these videos. Thank you if you just enjoyed one. Thank you if you just enjoyed a second of one. I appreciate
Seriously.
this
Really.
entire journey, and I'll see you all again next time.